a minute because this thing is always being so silly. Oh my goodness, this is not a flattering angle for me, is it? Okay. There we go. That's a little bit better. That's a little bit better. Okay, so what's up, everybody? How is everybody doing? We had a few birthdays. My birthday just passed, and my daughter's birthday was even sooner, on the 15th. Whew. Oh, yo. We gotta take a little deep breather, right? I'm getting a headache. The barometric pressure, OMG, I'm so sensitive to it. I've always kind of had this little sensitivity, but I feel like, it's rising and it's supposed to be higher tomorrow. So when it rises and when it falls, I feel it like so crazy. I don't know what to say. Does anybody else feel like that? Do you guys have like similar things with the barometric pressure where you are? All that good stuff. I don't know if I'm gonna last long because I can barely sit still. I don't like to sit for one thing, but for two, with the recent life update that I'm about to throw down to y'all, you will know why. Um, so yeah, I got my electrolyte water in my little container here. I don't want to advertise. I'm sure I'll forget and do that anyways. But so I've got some body healing cards. It's a wonderful Wednesday, isn't it? It's a beautiful Wednesday. I've actually got plenty of other things to do, but Spirit just called me to hop up on this live and maybe take you guys more on live journeys with me. But of course, being mindful of, where I'm at and things like that. I've got my hibiscus behind me because I thought hibiscus, everybody always associates flowers with being feminine. I felt like hibiscus is a masculine flower. Um, so there's a little details about that. I've got some Hafiz, I'm sure I'm butchering the name, but love this deck for a simple little oracle read. But I guess what I'll do is kind of dive into what's been happening with myself lately. I have been taking a little bit of a hiatus from my, traditional workspace, job. And you got to listen to your body, you got to advocate, don't be like myself. I am an Aries sun. So my sun is in Aries. I have a Virgo moon and a Pisces rising, if you didn't know that already. So I can be very stubborn with that Virgo moon, very routine based and things like this. But listen to your body and truly, the word of the du jour of this week and this energy is really advocating for yourself. So since March 12th, my health has been on a wild one. And I have recently found out that I have dysautonomia after fighting like hell with doctors to figure out what's really going on with me. Because there is this whole issue in our beautiful US, that, when you are a female, that you are going to be told, oh, it's anxiety, take birth control, anxiety, birth control. No, I know what anxiety is. I've had it my whole life. I'm very familiar with anxiety and depression symptoms. Not only that, but birth control and I have had a history, and it actually made things worse for me in the past. So maybe that was then, this is now, but I am going through changes. I am doing hormonal replacement therapy because my old primary was actually a women's health doctor. She's got a lot of knowledge in functional medicine and a lot of knowledge in just preventative health, so things to help us prevent this from occurring down the line and being something that's going to really affect us. So I linked back up with her. Unfortunately, insurance does not take care of that, but I didn't mind because modern medicine, I have been going back and forth with them since 2023, guys, since 2023, when my main doctor was switched out. And I've had my heart checked. I've wore a Holter monitor for 2 weeks even, and told, oh yeah, your heart rate's a little hot, you run high, and your palpitations are nothing to worry about. There's nothing concerning. You're good. I get those too. The doctor says he's a male. And he's like, yeah, I get those too, no big deal. He actually had the same aura color as me because I do see auras. So I have been told I don't really see my own aura many times. Actually, I might even be able to see it right now. I feel like it's very blue with this background. So if you see auras, give me a little holler if you agree. But anyways, I have been told my aura is orange. I do see auras. My cardiologist at the time, he had an orange aura, and that's what I've been told. So with my aura seeing abilities, I was like, okay, he's a very passionate person, very creative energies, and felt very trusting of his advice. Felt very relieved. Okay, there's nothing wrong with me. Boom. Next stop was colonoscopy, endoscopy. And first I had the endoscopy. They checked me all out. Everything seemed to be normal. They don't want to see me for 5 years or until I'm 45. So things look very hopeful with that. That was in 2023 as well, 2024. So things were ruled out, GERD, gastrointestinal stuff. Okay, my stomach's always messed up. Virgo moon stuff, right? Because Virgos are known for that intestinal digestive issues. And we will be getting into the cards, guys. I just really want to talk about the health stuff because what better way to introduce this health healing body cards than to do that. And I'm only going to do like a 3-card spread because when I typically do this with, my clients and people that I have done this body healing cards with, I like to kind of go over the whole body and scan it. So we will be getting into this, but I just want to keep going with my story that, I have had Lyme in 2010. So I had Lyme disease in 2010, found out I had thrombocytopenia in 2012, which is low platelets. So from 2012 till now, I always see a hematologist, oncologist, just to check in on my thrombocytopenia, low platelet issues. My platelets get lower when I have kids. I don't plan on having any more, but when I was pregnant for my first child and my second child, my 2 daughters, they did lower. They did get lower. When I get sick or I'm fighting off any issues, COVID and things like that was going on, my platelets tend to lower there as well. So fast forward into 2022, right before I did all the cardiology, endoscopy, and all that good stuff, we did a big move. As you guys may know, I tried to log it on here when we did our move to the new house, but I did a lot of heavy lifting and moving, and I was fairly active, doing high intensity interval training workouts at home, yoga, just trying to be as active as possible. But, mostly I would say I was more fairly sedentary now looking back, but I did I did try to move around. I wasn't very idle and I like to stand a lot, which is still true. So when we moved, I was starting to have bleeding issues, and then they were trying to figure out, well, where is this bleeding coming from? Things like this. So that's when they went down the avenue of let's go to women's health. That was the first line of action, considering where the bleeding was coming from. Yes, normal, but also not normal when it's super heavy and causing you to have anemia. And because I have psychic abilities, I worked in the lab. I'm very familiar with blood. Blood is my forte. It's my specialty. I'm very into lab work, microscopy, and just reading the labs. And I'm very familiar, honestly. So knowing too much, I was like, no, doc, you're gonna have to run those labs again. I'm telling you. I am anemic. I am feeling very faint. I am pale. I'm a Latina woman. So when I felt that I was pale and I had this paleness in my lips and face, that's when I knew my hair was thinner. I was going through all these things, feeling weak. And that's when I knew, hey, check it out. So they checked it again. And my doctor was like, well, you're right. Your H&H is very low. Go check it out with the hematologist. So went back to my hematologist. They ran more tests. Thrombo always is going on. So normal for me, but I was fine. The anemia, they were like, okay, let's start you on a supplement. So I took iron supplement by mouth. I think it was like 75 milligrams or something, or maybe even more than that. And it had like dunquil and I think red raspberry leaf. So I may have to incorporate that again. But anyhow, I was taking oral iron supplements, Floridex, drinking the iron supplement. Like I was really switching it up from there to there, and nothing was helping. Nothing changed. I was still suffering from anemia. My doctor was like, "Are you even taking anything?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm like overtaking what I should. Like, if you're telling me it looks like I'm taking nothing, um, this is crazy because like I'm literally taking supplements every single day." So, with that being said, they were like, "Yeah, you need an iron infusion." So I had a couple iron infusions in like 2023 to 2024, all in the midst of trying to figure out what was causing the bleeding, what's causing these random symptoms. So fast forward to 2024 when I started working, at two jobs, but then switched to working this high stress, high pressure job full time. Why I did that, I'm crazy. I was at this place for 10 years, possibly like 11 years before I left and came back when I was doing phlebotomy in the hospitals. And then I worked at this gym simultaneously. So just like in 2021, I was just there. Well, things were crazy because the high stress, high pressure environment had me, in November 11th, the moon was in Leo. And for some reason, when the moon's in Leo and it's near a new moon or especially a full moon, my body goes haywire. It is screwed. I'm very astrologically driven. I don't know why that's the case for me. I might have to look back at my fifth house because I do look at charts for other people. But yeah, every time the moon is in Leo, it does deal with the heart, aorta, blood circulation, things like that. So my heart rate goes crazy. And on November 11th, the moon was in Leo. My heart was going crazy. I was starting to have severe symptoms that were keeping me from working, and my blood pressure was beginning to rise. So I was like, okay, my body's just getting used to working this mid shift. I went from morning shifts to working like 11 to 7:30. And my body was like, this is not for me. So I tried, I did it for a few months. I was like, let me give it like 3 months. And my body was still acting stupid. Like it was like, no, I can't do this. It cannot do this. So I was having heart palpitations, all this stuff, high blood pressure. I went to the ER or urgent care that time. They're like, oh, I think you're just anxiety. Oh, birth control, as they always do. Like, right? Like I said. And I was like, no, I don't think that's it. So they gave me, I don't know, an anti-anxiety medication to see if my heart rate would go down with that, and it did. But I was so against heart rate medication or anxiety medication because I was like, listen, I'm not anxious, but I am getting anxious causes because you guys are just telling me it's this and it's not this. So please find the answer. Don't give me a band-aid. Don't just cover it up. Like, let's get to the bottom of what is really going on with me, right? So, aside from being given the anti-anxiety medication, I was off a couple of days from work, went back to work, boom. In January, I was working with my functional medicine doctor. I got linked up with my old primary, who, like I said, has all this experience in women's health, family health. She's known me since I was 18. Hey, good afternoon. She's known me since 2018. Or excuse me, since I was 18. So we were working together, and she's very holistic minded. So I was ready to really dive into some real solutions with her. So that's when I was placed on the hormonal replacement therapy. She said, I think it would be very helpful if we do progesterone. I think that's going to help you out a lot. And me doing my own research, I was like, yo, my heart rate goes up during my menses. Like, I'm tracking basically a pattern. And these doctors are just like, dude, telling me all this nonsense. And I'm like, no, I'm giving you a pattern. I'm giving you my triggers. Don't just tell me anxiety and birth control. Like, we need to go deeper than this. So when she was working with me, I was very nervous about progesterone. I'm very skeptical of taking any medications because I do have a lot of medical trauma. I've been medically gaslit in the past, and I have been on many medications in my past that I've had bad moments with. And I'm one of those people that gets like rare reactions sometimes. So I'm just like medically traumatized, right? Hey, thank you. I love this. Amazing. Well, stay tuned because I really want to help advocate people who are going through similar things, especially if you happen to be female, even if you're not female assigned at birth. I am just here for all, and I'm here to advocate like hell. So thank you so much, Reluctant. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. So going back to working with her, I went on vacation. We went on a trip, and I was like, okay. Well, first off, before we went on vacation in January, she was like, let's run some labs. I want to see what's going on. with your hormones and everything. And I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about. My other doctor's like, comp, CMP, okay, basics, complete metabolic profile. Great, doc. Like, I know what that is already. Like, let's not take it there. I worked in a lab. I was a phlebotomist. I might not have been the one running the test, but like, I'm very familiar with what these tests do. And then CBC, and I was like, let's look further. I was like, I know there's a cortisol test we can do. I know there's a DHEA test, testosterone. Like, let's break it down. Free T4, TSH. Let's go a little bit deeper than that. Family history of diabetes. Like, let's go. So finally, my old doctor, functional training doctor, was like, okay, let's do all the things that I was literally going to ask her to do. And I was like, this is why I love you. This is why I want to work with you, because you're diving deep. You're getting in deeper than just the basics. So we checked that out, and at the time, my cortisol was a 4. It was low. It shouldn't be that low. I was fasting. It was morning time. I mean, she goes, your reserves are burnt out. First thing in the morning, you are too young for that. I was 33 at the time. I just turned 34. I have 2 kids, busy as hell, was working full time, working a crazy schedule, trying to catch up with all that. And then dealing with the stresses of customer service and people in general. And I'm empathic, I'm intuitive. I am a spiritual practitioner, so I feel everybody's energy on 1,000. Just the basics, I feel that. And oh, I love this so much. Thank you so much for your comments. So, because I feel that so much, I felt very bombarded. There was a lot of astrological stuff that was going on at the same time. We had that new moon in March or excuse me, the new moon from like February to like the full moon in March was when my health and all the spiritual intensity amplified. So in January, I found out about the cortisol low. My doctor was like, Addison's disease potentially, and I didn't even know what that was. I guess JFK had Addison's, and my doctor was concerned that I might also have something similar. Thankfully, it doesn't show signs of that, right? But my cortisol was low. I was going through adrenal fatigue. So listen to your body. If you are tired, if you are burnt out, if you just need a fucking day, excuse me, I'm so sorry, a day. Sorry, YouTube, please don't hate me, but like if you just need a day to recoup and be less burnt out, take it. Take the time for yourself. Do not be like me, because people are out here losing their lives because they're pushing themselves too far. And I know we all got to work. I know we got bills to pay, but in this day and age, there is so many avenues, multiple streams. Like, look up those multiple streams, get a side hustle going. Yes, it can take a lot of work, but what works harder is you working harder for others and not giving yourself that space to take care of your health. And guys, if you are here for the health and body healing, we are going to get into that very, very shortly. I just really want to give you the update of what's going on. So once I found out about the whole adrenal fatigue things in January, we were going on vacation in February. So I figured, okay, I was nervous because I was already stressed out, but I was like, maybe a week's vacation is going to be a body reset, right? So my family and I, we went on vacation. We had the kids, my mom, my sister, my fiance. We flew, and of course, flying gives me super stress. So at this point, before flying, and with all my stress and anxiety I was occurring, and not even just anxiety, but like health anxiety induced, right? Because something was going on with me. I was like mentally fine, mentally stable, but not knowing what was really going on underneath, why I'm having palpitations, why my body was like high heart rate and feeling crazy, right? um where was I going with this? I was like very nervous. So I was taking ashwagandha, very holistic based. I take lion's mane for my ADD. It's a natural help for focus and attention without having to go on the ADD medications. I used to be on them. I'm never doing that again. I do not believe in it, and it also can cause heart stuff, actually, if you look at the fine print. So after I figured, we're going on a vacation. I'm taking ashwagandha like 2 or 3 times a day. Like, as soon as I was starting to feel panicky, I would take it. But now, as I found out later on, that was kind of silly. It does lower your cortisol, so that probably did not help in lowering my cortisol, but at least I wasn't highly stressed. My body wasn't fatiguing itself out. At this point, I've been working with a personal trainer since November, since I was having issues. And beforehand, because let's just face it, I was trying to lose weight. I'm trying to be better health for my kids and myself. And I also was trying to avoid having to be on any medications, because I wanted to lose that weight. I wanted to, be off, of that. Oh, Oh, gain a sub, you just gained an entire family. Wow. Oh my gosh. So much love. Wow, you guys are amazing. I really appreciate that. I'm like reading this as I'm doing my live. This means so much to me. I've been on YouTube since 2007, since the very beginnings. It was kind of sillier back in the day, but I really, really appreciate you guys. Right now, that just filled my heart and soul. This is just very meaningful, purposeful stuff. So I really appreciate that comment. So as I was navigating, what the heck is going on with me? Why isn't anybody listening? And like, I'm trying to like self heal. I'm trying to eat right. I have, gastro issues. I have lactose intolerance. I know what kind of triggers and bothers me. So I'm on vacation and I'm working out. I've been working with a trainer, like I said. Just trying to stay ahead of it. So it's not like I was a lazy person. It's not like I sit around all day. Like I'm usually standing. I love to stand. I don't like to sit. Even sitting here, I'm like going stir crazy, right? And I'm moving my body. Because I'm just an energetic, active person, even though my body formality might not show that to you guys. I really am. I love doing tennis, roller skating, high intensity interval trainings are my chef's kiss. I love them, but I might have to chill with that considering things that are going on. So I had been doing that, really getting strong. We went to Disney, and I walked around at like 13,000 steps. Maybe that's not a lot to some, but like for me, I was really bumping it. I was carrying my kids around, which is something I couldn't do prior. So after doing my workouts, being at vacation, feeling like the healthiest I've ever been, but having some anxieties because we were away from home and mama bear mode. I'm very protective, new environment, but felt good where we were because we were in a gated community. So it felt like it was very secured. So that kind of relaxed me. But like still, there were stressors of like family stuff that was going on and all that. So aside from the family stressors and things that were going on vacation, I felt like, was it going to be a reset? I got super vertigo from the plane ride, and I was dealing with that. Being an intuitive, spiritual person, I was picking up on my sister as well. She was sitting in front of me, and at the time, she was dealing with an illness and sickness, so she wasn't feeling well when we traveled. And I'm like picking up on her energy. I'm trying to like tone down my own, center myself, and ground myself. And I'm like feeling all these things, right? So when we get home, it's like, oh, sense of relief. Like, you're kind of masking a little bit with others. Maybe you're clashing with somebody that you're on a trip with. You have to really be in harmony with what you're doing. So I try to stay as active and as healthy as I was feeling. But as soon as we came home, my vertigo was extra triggered after getting off that plane. I was like, this is not normal. I have flown many times before, never had this big a deal of vertigo. So I was like, wow, everything is just so enhanced and I feel things so much more deeply than ever. So I'm just like, okay, vertigo, what the heck? So where am I going with this? So I came home, relaxed, and was like, okay, we were on vacation. I took the longest nap. I could like barely eat. I started feeling like not like I wanted to eat or anything, and just trying to get really re-zened back into my home. So I took a long nap, blah, blah, blah. The next couple days later, well, the day after that, I had worked Saturday, Sunday, half days at my job. And then I worked a full normal 8-hour shifts for the rest of that week. So I was pushing it, and not to be TMI, but it was becoming that time of the month. I very much cycle my life to where am I in my cycle and what should I be doing. So before that, I kind of tone it down a little bit, go a little lower, low and slow. But right after it ended, I was like, okay, I'm going into my high energy moment. Let's go. We're going to go into a high interval oh my God, elevate class. It's a high intensity interval training. So do intense work to bring it back, dial it back. So I had been training. I've been like really, really buffing up, these muscles, baby, they were rocking it, right? So I did the class and my heart rate was up as normal as it would be, but I rushed to get to work because I only had like 10 minutes to get ready and get onto my shift. So luckily at my gym, there's a shower. I'm like getting ready. I'm in a warm environment because it's super hot in the locker rooms. Like it's very warm. And I was just like, wow, I guess I'm just going to be on edge. So I was feeling like the endorphins were running, feeling high, because, hey, thank you for the strength arms. Um, you know, I was at an all-time like let's go moment, right? Because I had just done the class, I was feeling mentally good. I was like, this is really good for me. I'm feeling really healthy. I ate a decent breakfast, but it wasn't that great. I should have chilled out halfway through the class because I knew I didn't have a lot of time. And for my own body, as I was listening in prior workouts, it's like I need to cool down. You need that cool down time, right? Everybody needs to cool down after a workout, especially if you were going hard. I know better, but because I had to work, I didn't want to be straining and late. So I just like pushed myself. And then I was getting hungry, and one of my colleagues was like, "Hey, I got a protein bar." Like working at the gym, it's amazing because everybody knows like you have to have that sustenance, right? So she gave me one of her bars to have, and I was like, "Okay, this should help, whatever." And then I was wearing my watch at the time, as I do, to keep track of my heart rate because that's how I noticed it was like going out of control. So I'm wearing my watch and I'm seeing like my heart rate's still in like the 90, well, it was in the hundreds, right? So I'm like, okay, I just did an intense workout. I'm cooling down. I'm standing up. Like, what's the story? So then I'm sitting down, and then I'm going outside. I'm trying to cool down. Then it's lunchtime and I'm eating lunch, turkey sandwich, lots of good sustenance there. And then I even laid down in a massage chair to relax, took an ashwagandha, like did all my things. And my body was still at a heart rate of like 123, and I was resting, I was relaxing. I was like, what is going on? So I chilled, I made it through work, I got through the end of the day, and then got home and was like, okay, I guess I should be fine. Well, the next day I started feeling like weird, but not too weird, but just like, okay, I'm not at work, I'll be fine. Then on the 10th, it was, I think, a home day for me. I wasn't going to work. No, actually, I was supposed to be going back to work. So I'm rushing around. I'm like doing all the things. Right. Right. The massage chair is like, how am I still super intense? And I even cool down, like all that good stuff. Drank lots of water. I've been super serious about electrolytes, like before knowing what was going on with me. So drinking lots of water, very accessible. I'm very blessed at where I was at because there's a lot of support there, so I was using the support. And then the day I tried to go in on the 10th, March 10th, to work, I was getting ready. I was singing. I was happy. I was like, yes, having a nice breakfast, just trying to get the day going, planning other workouts for the week. And my heart rate was 125. My heart rate was 125. I wasn't even running around rushing. I literally was like eating breakfast or getting ready to eat it, getting my bags ready and getting ready to head out the door. So I was like, okay, I'll take a shower. Let's cool down. Sorry, I have a headache because the barometric pressure today is kicking my butt. So I'm like getting ready to go to work, and I'm like, okay, if my heart rate is super high when I'm going to drive in and I'm just sitting down, I just relaxed, I took some ashwagandha, whatever, then I'm gonna go right to the urgent care and I'm not gonna go to work. So I went to urgent care. I told them my whole thing. I was like, hey, no, it was not my anxiety. We'll get to that. We shall get to that. Surely anxiety doesn't help, but we will get to it because I'm coming closer to now, right? March, we're talking about March. So March 10th, went to urgent care, gave him my whole thing, was like, hey, listen, I've been dealing with these palpitations. Now I'm getting some chest pains. Now I'm getting dizziness. My vertigo's increased since vacation. Like flying really triggered me. What is going on with me? And I told the woman at the time, I was like, most doctors, even in the urgent, they want to say anxiety. They want to say birth control. And she goes, what? Oh my gosh, nonsense. She goes, even if that's the case, I want to run some other tests first. So we did x-ray, we did blood work galore, okay? They put me on an IV hydration, as they love to do. So I was there for about 3 hours. They did an EKG, doesn't tell you a lot, but whatever. They did the whole thing that they could do. And they got me right in. Like, I'm just chilling. Oh, my daughter's, her watch is going off and she was at school. So she's that noise in the back. And it's going to distract me because I have ADD. But anyways, so I'm there. She listens to me. She goes, listen. And I felt very seen and heard because most doctors are like, you're anxious, birth control, blah, blah, blah. And I had told her, I'm dealing with hormonal health. They did hormonal replacement therapy. I'm having some adrenal fatigue. They redid my labs, fast forwarding, and my cortisol went back up actually to a stable position. Stop taking ashwagandha so much. I will only take it unless I absolutely need it or just want that hormonal boost. But like I chilled out with that. So she ran the test, labs looked beautiful, x-ray looked very nice, EKG looked normal, just sinus tachycardia. So yeah, I already know I have sinus tachycardia. So life goes on. I had a couple days off from work. I tried to go back to work again on the 12th, and this is where we are going to be currently, right? So on the 12th, I'm literally at work, and here I am. They're like, it's only an hour. So I was very upset. I was crying because I'm like making appointments with the OBGYN, women's health, to follow up with them to see if it's not something deeper than that. I started taking progesterone, starting to help a little bit. Um, and just kind of taking the paces, checking off all the boxes. And I even saw an eye doctor too, because I was like having visual disturbances and I should be wearing my glasses. Um, so on the 12th, I tried to work for an hour. They put me in a very more relaxed, not relaxed, but it wasn't as high intensity customer service area, not as many people to interact with. I was just checking emails, getting through those because I had like a good space to focus in the back. And people were not asking for as much help. It just was very chill, right? I'm sitting there and my heart rate is thumping and bumping. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, I feel fine, but I don't. Now I'm dizzy. My heart is thumping. I checked my watch. My heart rate is up to like 120 something, So I'm telling the fitness guy that I work with, I'm like, hey, my heart rate's at this, isn't that crazy? Because they're fitness, they know. And he's like, well, it shouldn't be at rest. Like, he's like, did you do anything hardcore? And I'm like, no, I'm just literally sitting here doing this work. So, me being nervous, I'm like, okay, now my palms are sweaty. I'm starting to get anxious because something is up with me and nobody's ever given me answers. I'm feeling crazy. I've had primary visits, I've had urgent cares, all that. So then I just straight up was like, I need to leave. I need to go to the ER. My coworkers are like, okay, whatever you got to do. Because at this point, people were like starting to get used to, me being like, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I'm going through something and I need to figure it out. So I go to the ER and they take no time messing around with me, okay? Because at that point, when they took my blood pressure, which all throughout this whole experience, my blood pressure was technically stage 1 hypertension, right? But no one ever says it. They're like, white coat syndrome. You're just nervous when you get your blood taken or your blood pressure taken, which yes is true. I get a little, I don't like being at the doctor's. It kind of freaks me out when it squeezes your arm. But like, they do it again when I'm more relaxed and it doesn't go down, right? So they're like, oh, whatever, whatever. And I'm thinking, I'm looking at it. I know too much, done vitals in the past. I'm like, nobody's going to say anything about hypertension. Like my dad has hypertension. Nobody wants to talk to me about that. History of heart issues, diabetes, all this. And I'm like, with my family, that is, not myself, right? So I'm like, give them the lowdown. I'm like, listen, I am feeling like this. I'm having chest pains. I'm nervous, not nervous, but I'm having palpitations. I'm sweaty. I'm vertigo, all the things, right? And I'm having pain in my legs because now it was like intense, it was just like intensely affecting my body. So I was calm. I'm chilling, I'm like, and they instantly were like, come on in. So they took my blood pressure. It was 177 over 117. My blood pressure was extremely high. And I didn't look at it. I'm just like, I know too much. You guys do what you do. I remained calm because I didn't want to start crying and getting upset because people would be like, oh, you're just anxious. They give you that crap when you are not strong, right? So I'm like, here I am going through it. And 177 over 117 when I look back at my chart, because I didn't look at it that day. They were like, do we want to try this again? And I'm like, oh yeah, girls, like, I don't know. They're like, how are you feeling? And I'm like, oh, now I know why they asked me all those questions. I'm like, I'm feeling dizzy. I don't feel right. I have pain in my legs. Like, so they took me to do like a vascular scan of my legs. Everything looked good there. The woman was talking to her and we're advocating. We're like, yeah, that's why I don't go to the doctors. She's perimenopausal. They thought maybe I was perimenopausal. So like talking to that tech, they get me down. Meanwhile, after they did my blood pressure and saw it that high, they instantly, without saying anything to me, put me on a Holter monitor then and there. Perfect. So nobody else did this. But of course I went to the ER so they have more things. They put me on a Holter monitor to monitor me the whole time. The whole time that I'm in that ER, I'm chilling. I'm like, I'm in the right place. I feel safer now. If something goes down, like I was like mentally chill. Like my anxiety was pretty minimal other than, can somebody please tell me what is wrong with me? So Holter monitors on, I'm being blood taken, I'm getting vascular scans, and my heart rate is continuing to stay in the 90s to 100s, even though I was sitting down and whatever. So then I'm laying down on a cot eventually, like an hour or two later, and they're still trying to figure it out. I'm like stressed as hell at this point because they have me in the hallway and I'm like right next to this very upset old man, which, I feel this. I worked in healthcare, I understand, but like, boy, I was having the migraine from hell. And this guy is like bugging out, they're asking what his name is, and he's like, it's stupid, and it's just like, he was just not a pleasant old man. He was going through it. I think he had a UTI. I'm pretty sure it was confirmed. They did a catheter and like they got him going again, and he was calm. So I was like, oh my God, please give this man a nap, right? Because I'm like, it's not helping my situation. I'm like spiritually attuned. I'm like picking up on spirit because I also have mediumship. So literally, like, I'm like, who is this woman around him? Like, they need to spiritually come help him out. Literally, it was his mother. Somebody goes, do you remember your mom? And blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, here I am. I'm sick. I don't feel well. And I'm picking up on spirit. I'm like, can I just have a minute to just like heal myself here? I'm like, oh my gosh. So anyways, they ended up doing another x-ray, while I was at ER. They did a CAT scan to rule out any issues things. So they did like my head and my chest. Everything looked good there. So they were just like, wow, we don't know, but your heart rate's still extremely high. So we're going to give you metoprolol. They gave me a migraine cocktail, which I guess was like a steroid, supposed to be Benadryl, but I don't do well with Benadryl. So I was like, please don't give me that. And I don't know what else they do for the migraine cocktail. And then metoprolol. So metoprolol is for high blood pressure. So they gave me that, and finally my heart rate went down. So now I'm not just told, oh, anxiety. It's like, no, this is not an anxiety thing. Like, it's more than that. So unfortunately I had to start up on the hypertension medication, which is helping me, right? Or so I found down the line. So I was like, well, my heart rate has decreased. So we'll rock with that. And I'm going to get these cards out just in case a few people are hopping on. So thank you so much for those of you who are hanging out, listening to my story. I try to get to the point, but there's so many moving parts. So I started on metoprolol. They gave me magnesium supplement. Finally, I get the right magnesium. I tried taking magnesium forever, and I would always take the wrong one that would like give my stomach so much sensitivity. So I'm on the metoprolol, and things are going well. They took me out of work at some point on like the 12th. It was like, no, you obviously need to chill out and not go to work. Like I'm like laying down on the ground, putting my feet up, trying to figure out what is going on with me. And sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. So from that ER visit, it was kind of great because they weren't just like telling me some kind of thing. They were like, the doctor was really brainstorming, being like, let's try this because this is what's going on. So that seems to help. I still get those fluctuating moments, but it's really tamed it down. I still am super dizzy. Like I was saying a billion times today, the barometric pressure is up. So my body is headaching, it's feeling the joint pain, and all of that. And plus I'm going through hormonal stuff as well, about to start my menses. So that always triggers it, right? And since I've been back in the game, I just got 3 cards. So I guess these are our 3 cards that we're going to be dealing with, the health that we should be taking a look at while, this energy is going on. So I'll get into the cards in just a moment because 3 fell out perfectly and I said I'm only going to do 3, right? And if you guys have any questions, those of you that are here and being so wonderful, please feel free to, tap into the energy and we'll see what's good for that. So back to my health story. I keep seeing my primary. I'm like, listen, I'm still having symptoms, even taking this metoprolol. It's helping quite a lot. But it's not 100% it. And like, I know there's an underlying cause, like what's causing my heart rate to be so high if they're not feeling like it's textbook hypertension. I wanted answers, and talking to my functional doctor, I'm like, hey, what do you think, hormonally, like this is all getting better, like my cortisol and stuff and the adrenal fatigue's kind of getting better, but I'm also not working. I need to figure out what I can do to get back to work. And not be on medical leave. It's very debilitating, and I'm an active person and I want to do things. So recently, in the last couple month, I've just been doing light yoga. some Pilates work, resistance bands, little light stuff like that. Recently, just as of like yesterday and the day before, I started I started taking walks, doing walks. Well, I'm the only one. That's fine. That is absolutely fine, Berry Stars. I'm very sorry that you feel that way. This is my channel, and this is what I would like to talk about. So I hope you have an amazing day. Thanks for stopping by and putting a comment. Um, so, I'm like, hey, what am I gonna do? So fast forward, and finally my doctor gets me into a cardiologist sooner than the 6th. Um, or excuse me, sooner than June. Because they were like, oh, we'll see somebody in June. Well, June is quite a while away. So finally they fast forwarded and my doctor's like, oh, it's just GERD, acid reflux, which yes, I have that. Yes, it triggers this issues, right? Um, but I'm like, doc, that's not all it is here. Like, we need to dive deeper. So finally I get into a cardiologist, finally saw them, and this is why I want to come on to you guys right now, because keep advocating for yourself. Don't take their answers for an answer. I love doctors. I think they're amazing. They work really hard. They study really hard, but they don't always have your best interest in mind, especially if you don't feel like you're being seen and heard. You know your body best. I've always advocated that we know our bodies the best. Even with patients that I've had to deal with as a phlebotomist, I always was an advocate. And I say, hey, listen to your body and your health. You don't have to do this. Patient Bill of Rights. Like, I am that kind of a person, okay? I'm 100% there for the people and there for the knowledge. We do have 3 cards here, guys, so they are in the mix, and I will be getting to that very, very shortly. Thank you for your patience. So the cardiologist, finally see her. I'm thinking, is it POTS? Because I have such POTS symptoms. It's all over TikTok. It's like a TikTok craze, right? So you guys have heard of POTS, posterior orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, because it certainly happens when I sit up and stuff and lay down and all this jazz. So I'm telling them all my symptoms. I'm telling them what's going on, how the doctors keep saying anxiety and birth control. And this is a woman nurse at the cardiology being like, oh my God, like she was literally annoyed. And probably because all of her patients always hear that all the time. So I'm like doing my own research with my symptoms, what causes adrenal fatigue, blah, blah, blah. Why is my heart rate up, blah, blah, blah. And I'm seeing POTS all over. So I mentioned POTS, and my mom has mentioned it to me too. She goes, talk to them about that. And I was going to be like, can we do a tilt table, whatever. Well, basically, they did a tilt table test in a form of it, I should say. So they took my blood pressure while I was sitting, standing, and laying down. And I was literally going to ask them that. I'm peeking over at her answers. Luckily, my blood pressure wasn't so high because the metoprolol that I'm on, a blood pressure medicine, was actually keeping it pretty decent. So I'm in the normal range, 120 over 80 fam, you know what I mean? So for once, because usually it's like 130 over, 80s, 90s sometimes. So getting there to other things, right? And then I finally talked to the cardiologist after the nurse gave her the lowdown, and I told them like they wanted to start me on like a GERD medication, which I started taking, and that's helping a little bit. Even though I'm anti-pharma, I'm not a big fan of that, but until I can get things working the other way, we shall do this, right? So the cardiologist comes in like a baddie, love, love, love her, okay? And she goes, wow, it really sounds like you're going through something. I want to take more tests. I want to check into this, And she's really hearing me, and she's like, you have dysautonomia. So 100%, just because somebody thinks you're anxious, dysautonomia can cause anxiety and panic attacks. It causes a whole plethora of other things. If you don't know what it is, check it out. I'm going to also name this video with like dysautonomia and my journey figuring out that I have this and how to live with it going forward. So I've already been doing some of the right things with this diagnosis so far. So they probably have other things to look into, but it's just nice to get an answer as to why my heart rate's acting all funny. And it's this dysregulation of basically your nervous system and your automatic sensory system and all this jazz, that's acting all haywire. I'm like clockwork for it. My menses, my ovulation phase beforehand, like all the things that I've been telling these people, my doctors, since for the last couple of years, could all be explained by this dysautonomia that I have. So gotta drink more water, as I always do, but with my workouts and stuff, I'm more serious about electrolytes, doubling up on those on days where I'm going hard. Also, just being more mindful of eating at the right times, making sure I eat breakfast, just simple stuff like that. Like, I can't play around anymore. There's no skip to the loo, my friends. You got to do this. Got to get better with the sleep health. I'm so bad about it. I like to doom scroll before bed, as everybody might like to do. So I'm getting rid of that. And doing more writing and things like this. But just having an answer feels great. Having something to work with is amazing, because I stopped working out. They were like, no strenuous exercise, don't work out anymore, don't do anything. And I'm like, dude, I'm trying to lose weight. Like, are you serious? So I got through all of that, and it's just incredible, because like, you have to just keep advocating. Like, I know it's uncomfortable to tell a doctor they're wrong. I have a little bit of medical confidence because I was a phlebotomist for 4 years working in the field, and since 2014 I've been a phlebotomist. And I worked in the field for 4 years. But I worked alongside doctors and nurses. Much respect, love them, but they are humans just like all of us, right? And sometimes you have to shop around, I guess, to get the right fit. And I've had to tell nurses, that they got to flush their tube before giving me the blood off of a PICC line. So it's like, sometimes you have to be uncomfortable and tell somebody who might be more experienced, who might have more knowledge than you, but they are not you, they are not in your body. And that's what I want to advocate and help people be empowered, just like I had to kind of empower myself. And it is uncomfortable, it sucks. I'm very nice. I'm a people pleaser. I don't like to tell people, no, you're wrong. But you have to go in stable, level headed. And like, if you're going through a similar situation or something different, yeah, allergies can trigger. I'm finding out more, but yeah, allergies, autoimmune system issues, totally. Cause like, if I eat certain things, that's when it will trigger up. Now I'm watching the inflammatory things. Another precursor to all of this, as I said before, is I had Lyme disease in 2010. That also added to my thrombocytopenia. And I also let her know that I had Lyme. So I think with that knowledge, she didn't just brush it off like some other doctors, oh, once you get the dioxycycline, the antibiotics, and all that jazz, you're good to go. You don't have it. But then there is this belief, and I'm a believer in this as well, that there's chronic Lyme, which is, I'm working with another functional doctor recently, who I will be working with even more so soon, next week, to go into chronic Lyme health and treatment. Yes, you have to pay out of pocket a lot of times for stuff like that, but to me it's worth it, because I'm finally getting answers, and I'm not getting a band-aid response. I'm not getting a patch job. I'm actually getting the tire fixed. And that's also what my cardiologist said. She goes, a lot of times they like to, amazing. And I really, really appreciate you guys so much. Stay tuned for more information. You can always play it back later. Really appreciate the love from you. Warms my heart, and I'm very inspired. I was meant to come on here and tell this story, and I will get into the cards, so I'll make sure I note when the cards come up, actually, because they did fall out already. But please advocate for yourself. Like, heck, even when it's uncomfortable, keep looking around, keep talking to people, be open. You don't have to get into every little nitty-gritty detail, but like, sometimes it just helps to talk about what's going on. And finding the solution, finding what's going on with you. Like, I had to keep going to the ER and urgent cares, and being that annoying person. And I sometimes, in the first point, I was crying, I was upset because I felt scared. I'm like, please help me. And you trust these people to know what they're doing to help. But then intuition, the intuitive side is like, no, there's something deeper here. We need to dive deeper. Keep being that squeaky wheel. I was on the portal. I was sending messages. I was following up through the phone, kept a log of all of my symptoms. That's very helpful if you guys are dealing with the same situation. Keep a log of your symptoms, keep a log of the dates that they're happening. Just keep pressing that wheel and say, hey, could you look into this for me? And if they don't want to look into it, you can always go another step and say very kindly and nicely, okay, do you mind documenting that I asked you about this and I'm having these symptoms? And you're stating no. So can you please medically document that? And that's the kind of terminology I nicely, but, kind of forcefully kind of presented to them, was that, hey, I'm still not feeling well. I will not take anxiety and birth control for an answer. That is a patch job thing. So because I fought hard for that, I finally got seen to a cardiologist ASAP who is very knowledgeable, young, and around my age, 30s or 40s. And she's familiar with this. And she didn't just say, oh, whatever, and agree with everybody else. Like, I came prepared, I came level headed, I came stable, and I came with all my logged notations of when symptoms were occurring, when things were occurring. So please be your own advocate. I just found out that I have dysautonomia. I'm, like I said, followed up with a natural functional doctor. So now I'm going to be looking into healing chronic Lyme because I feel like a lot of my dysautonomia is from chronic Lyme that I've had for years because Epstein-Barr EBV can be a cause from that. No places, Swifty, thank you so much for that. I am okay. I'm doing what I can to heal. At least I'm getting answers and I'm on the right path. So I feel very empowered with that. And I want to help others feel empowered with the same. So thank you so much for your lovely commentary, everybody. And we will be getting into the body healing cards right about now, because to be continued with this story, I am going to be going through some Lyme assessing and chronic Lyme stuff with my naturopathic doctor. So I am still feeling off. Like today, my blood pressure is actually feeling like it could be lower. Barometric's giving me a headache. Like just things, that I have to be more mindful of. I have to make sure that I'm drinking enough water, electrolyting. Like, it seems like basics, but otherwise my day can be screwed. And, compression stocks, just making sure that I listen to my body. Don't push it. Don't push yourself. Don't ignore it because when you do, your body will almost shut down on you and make you sit the hell down. And that's basically what my body did. I'm such a go, go, go rock star. I'm a mom. So like, I'm just, I gotta do it. I gotta do it. But now I've come to this place where, okay, I need to change something up. I need to listen to my body and that's okay. And luckily I have a lot of love and support around me. Even my job and coworkers are honestly, being immensely, helpful and supportive during this time. So that makes a difference. And if you aren't in that environment, I know it's not easy, but you really got to advocate for yourself to find a way out of that and get to a place where you can be, amongst better things. And trust me, eventually that will fall into place. So with the body healing cards, I did already shuffle these up, and as I was shuffling them, we did get a spread. So if you're still hanging out with me, we're finally going to get to the cards. Thank you so much for listening to my health update story as well. I will be following up on more information with that. So if you're a chronic Lyme warrior or dysautonomia warrior, autoimmune issues, this is the place for you because there is still life and light within you and ways to work with that. And one of my dear spiritual advisor friends is actually going through similar stuff, not quite the same, but similar. So I'm feeling very ultra inspired and empowered. So if you happen to be seeing this, Vida, I love you. And I just really appreciate all the energy and empowerment. So with no further delay, I am going to get into the cards that came out, and there's no reversals in these. It's just an oracle deck. So if you guys are familiar with the oracle messages, that's kind of straightforward. It's not like tarot where there's rules and like breakdowns. And then I kind of get into some energetic stuff with that as well. So the three cards, we have Portal Vein. And we're going to get into this because it's interesting because is this saying like your veins are a portal? Perhaps. When it comes to colorations, I like to associate the colors that are coming forth, like the yellow is a solar plexus energy. So if you're dealing with any health things or just feeling uneasy in general, your solar plexus can be very much affected, which is your drive, your motivation, your ambition, your just get it done. Amazing solar sun power, your light, essentially is kind of what the solar is. That can represent that. This is very soul-like vibes. So the veins are very spiritual, and this says portal vein. And what I also get from this is connection to the ancestors. You have similar blood in your veins. That was the blood of your ancestors. Maybe not fully anymore, because once you're a baby and you replenish new blood cells every single day, it's not going to be the exact same. But at one point, your grandmother was carrying your mother and yourself in the womb. So the portal vein, the vein attributions to this feel very symbolic. This is very ancestral, but soul energy here. So just kind of getting that drive back. So the veins, blood health, diving deeper, getting deeper answers. We even have some green heart chakra energy going through, and then some grounding with the earth tones. So we're going to dive into this card a little bit further, but before we get into the body healing book with the crystal prescriptions as well as the meanings from the book, I like to just give you a little breakdown as we're going through them. For bones, this has some beautiful feathering flowers. There's 3, like a holy trinity. And the bones are our structure. They can also, I'm getting a download literally, because like bones have a lot to do with the marrow and have a lot to do with veins. Actually, they do kind of go hand in hand together, because bone marrow can give you more details as to what's going on in your blood. And sometimes certain blood cells, eosinophils, or, the white T cells, that are kind of fighting for your health and fighting off germs and stuff, that can come from the bone marrow. So it's kind of interesting on a scientific laboratory perspective that I have, with a spiritual perspective on how this is breaking down. This is very aligning. So it's got a lot of the rainbow coloration. It almost has every single rainbow in it. And the bones really do give us that sense of grounding and stability, and they do represent the foundation of our bodily temples, if you will. So with that, there's once again another soul aspect coming through. So this is just something to be mindful of. Be mindful with your bone health. Maybe start incorporating some yoga for bone health. Incorporating how to get stronger. I was listening to a Mel Robbins podcast, and she actually was talking about strengthening your bones and strengthening your muscles so that actually you can age better. So I highly agree with that, is being very mindful to hydrating your veins. So drinking more water and hydrating, but being mindful of your foundational health of your bones and your body structure, because that is going to help you stay grounded. And it's going to keep you upright, confident, positive, and embarking on more of a health-filled journey. So if you have been on your health journey like myself, continue on to the best way that you can, because every little step you take adds up to what we have coming forth for us. And then the third card is the spleen. The spleen looks very dark, probably because it's kind of a organ that is very, it holds a lot of things. It can hold resentment and anger emotionally, but it also filters out a lot of things for us. And it's weird because it goes hand in hand with the bones and the portal vein. I mean, all of our systems work really well together, but it's kind of interesting that you've got portal vein, you've got bones. This has a little bit of a third eye connector to it. As well as just some grounding. And then, like I said, some very shadowy, dark energy. So kind of healing that, whether it's holistically, sending love to the spleen, where that's located. I need to take a sip. Sending love to the spleen. Okay. So these are the energetic health systems from the healing body that need some love and focus. So portal vein, we're going to rip onto that. And there's a whole thing when I do these that goes a little bit deeper individually with the client that I am working with. So if you are interested in getting any type of body healing readings with me, you can check out my website at www.thebubblies. So that's THEBUBBLIE. I will put that in the link description below, .net. So you can go on there, book a reading with myself, and I will have to kind of label what the reading is, but you could just go under an hour or 30-minute, and that'll generally be what this is about for any reading health things. My daughter's alarm on her thing, her watch keeps going off. She's at school. So let's dive into the portal vein. Portal vein. Like I said, if you guys want a reading, please check out my website, www.thebubblies.net. I will put that in the link below. Portal vein. So let's go back to this for a moment. Like a source delta, the portal vein rises in innumerable rivulets from the digestive organs. Oh my gosh, this is interesting. Where it takes on the elements from chyme. In the end, it flows nutrient stream into the sea of liver cells. On its way, the portal vein ensures that the building blocks of life forget the original formation so that they can be used again for building new cells and structures unencumbered by past life cycles. So healing what no longer serves, it's really interesting because like I said, it does have an ancestral flow. At one point, the veins had the blood flowing through them that we had of our ancestors. And in some ways, we still have our ancestors and loved ones beyond and before us energy within our veins in our lifetime. However, we do know, as this said, and as I was saying before, is that it does form new cells and structures and kind of lets go of that old stuff. So you never have to stay stuck with what your veins have been carrying and what you've been going through. They're always creating new cells and structures. So remember to be in tune with your mindset and kind of honor and send that energy to the vein or to the organ that you are inquiring about and empower that and just kind of cheer it on that yes, it's building new structures. Meditate, ground, and just be really positive for what you're picking up with. And it also has a notation of be picky in your purchases and forget old habits of buying. So don't be too impulsive. Don't just get things because you want them. Get things that are going to really invest in your health and your lifetime. And that's something that I'm also dealing with is investing in things that are going to be meant to carry us into our lifetime. That is going to help us prolong our lives. Investing in the self is always a beautiful thing. And that's what I'm doing. And that's what I'm saying too, is it's not always easy. You have to work really hard, but investing in yourself, you can never go wrong because you can find the deeper answers just by doing so. It says to nourish yourself only with good feelings and let other feelings go by. Start every day anew and practice forgetting old behaviors. So it's time to get real. It's time to move on from what we've been facing, because the old part of ourselves is really gone. And that really stings true to that new moon from February 26th, I think it was, all the way to the full moon that we had on March 29th. That really does speak to this new energy and this new life for us going forward. And now with April, it's been such a transformative moment. It's kind of like evening out from that really rocky, turbulent energy that we had there for a while. And we are in the grounding season of Taurus, which brings about a lot of material, steady home and hearth energy. So it's just such a beautiful thing, Taurus season, that's going to ground us, nurture us, and keep us stable. So with the portal vein, it says the healing crystals to use are elderite, spherical rhyolite, and strotionite. And I actually don't know offhand what those stones look like. Rhyolite, I feel like I'm more familiar with, but the strotionite, I can't say I know too much, and I'm actually feeling very dizzy and vertigo right now. Gotta love it, dysautonomia, because I'm sitting here for way too long, so I've got to stand up. Whew. Stand up, sit back down. Okay, let's see what the blood rate is right now. Before I did all that, 85. Okay, so not too bad, not too low. Okay, so bones. Bones was the second body. That is our foundation, our formative structures, and bones, right? Here we go. Bones. And we're reading the book here. The bones of the human skeleton form the framework that allows us to stand upright and stand upright, an achievement that connects with us to experience. Oh my gosh. Let's try that again. The bones of the human skeleton form the inner framework that allows us to stand upright, an achievement that connects us with the experiences of our ancestors. Our bones condense matter into a shape that offers highest stability. Overall structure provides the mental world of the brain and receives the vibration of gravitational field and operates a nursery for new blood cells in the soft core of each bone. On a cellular level, look at this. Your girl is so with it with the body structures, okay? This is why I'm not a nutcase when it comes to being aligned with the body. I'm very intuitive. It is my own body, so very intuitive with that. I also have been very intuitive with others when they've broken a bone. For instance, my daughter, when she broke her bone, everybody was like, she's fine, she's fine. But I feel bones, okay, and structures and how this is all tying into each other. Like I said, kind of builds new blood cells, as we know, right, in the bone marrow and the soft core, so the bone marrow of each bone. And what's interesting is I just talked about that. I just talked about how these things kind of correlate together. So on a cellular level, we are purifying and we're becoming anew. It says to touch your collarbone, stay at a sensitive point, and follow the thoughts that arise. So this is interesting, and it feels really good. When I start going through my dysautonomia, I do get a bit of a collarbone thing going on, and then it goes up my neck. Right in here, it's starting to trigger my eye twitching a little bit on this side. So feel your collarbone and just experience what comes up for you. Seeing clearly, messages of relaxation, standing up, facing things, that's just a little bit of what's coming up for me. But I want you to be empowered and I want you to feel on that and see what it brings up for you. And this is the bones card still. Immerse yourself in your bones and let your feelings carry you back to your ancestors. So the ancestors, guides, beings of love and light, those who came before us, their energy is strong. It says to stay strong, and remember those pillars of strength and those formative functions that we got from our ancestors. Feel one of your bones and be inspired by its dynamic strength. And like I said, maybe incorporating more yoga, strengthening the bones, eating certain nutritious foods that do align, because the bones, when they are in alignment, are deep, fundamental foundations. Then the rest of our body and our mind can be in alignment as well. So I think that's a really beautiful thing. And the crystals that heal with this organ are black tourmaline and apatite. And I love those stones. I almost want to get them for you guys to show you, because I do have a lot of crystals. I actually worked at a crystal store, and it was one of my greatest jobs, actually. I probably should get back into it because it just was soul aligning, especially being somebody who's an intuitive, a channel, a reader, and just highly intuitive with that. It just really aligned with me. So we've already did the portal vein, the bones, and now we're going to spleen. And thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really appreciate all the love and all the energy. Usually I do this on a Monday, so it's really interesting that I'm here on a Wednesday rocking out with you guys at this hour. I don't even know. Yeah. Oh, 12. Wow, 12:30 already almost. Wow. So spleen. And the spleen stands for the assertion of physical and mental independence and good performance, both in the blood and the individual. The spleen has a clear mission. The elite defense units of the immune system are trained here, and it guards access to emotional self-expression and controls overwhelming thoughts and promotes self-esteem. Interesting, because I was talking about how it can hold on to angers and resentments. So it does want to inspire you to be empowered, to look deeper and go beyond, and maybe ask for certain tests, see, just kind of empower you to kind of stand up to what you're looking for. It's very emotional, and I think that the spleen can hold a lot of answers that connect to the bone marrow that creates the new cells for blood in the veins. So all these on a health journey really tie in together. And for the spleen, it says to place your hand on your left hip and breathe into it. Sense your feelings. We're just going to take a deep breath with that one, right? Let the inner sun of awareness shine from your left hip to your whole body, and be a threshold guardian that defends your own personal clarity. Very good. So be a threshold guardian that defends your own personal clarity. So that is the overwhelming, not overwhelming, but the abundant, I don't know what word I'm looking for, energy of standing up for yourself, advocating for yourself, and really sticking to what you believe. And the stones that heal with this are chrysoberyl and charoite. And charoite I love so much. I just made a pair of charoite earrings, actually. They're little studs. And that feels like something for me to put on and kind of incorporate that. So if you have charoite, I will try to link all the crystals and the cards and such for you guys in the commentary below when I get a chance. So I really do appreciate all of you guys kind of sticking around for my life and health update, kind of the things that I've been going through. And I'm going to put more information on that in the descriptions. If anybody is still in the chat that wants me to pull a quick card for them, I would love to do so. And it won't be highly, it won't be like in a super intense, long, drawn out thing, because I don't know if I can get into all of that today. Another card just came out. Wow. Great. Insane. If anybody would like me to do a card, I see there's one person in here. If you want me to do a card, put a little comment below. Once again, I want to shout out #Rulukdin. Because you were really, really amazing, and I really appreciate your love and support here on my channel and all of the fun little emojis and such, and just interacting with you guys. It's been really, really wonderful. No Places Swifty, appreciate your comment here as well. Bones came out again. And Barry Stars YouTube, thank you for your commentary as well. I hope you have an incredible day. I hope everybody is healing, feeling, and loving thyself. Taking time for yourself and listening to your health, because that's what I'm here to advocate. I've always been big on health and wellness, hence why I worked in the healthcare industry as a phlebotomist, hence why I worked in a gym forever, and I'm still there. And I'm just all about preventative, kind of healing the body from things in a more holistic way. Wow, brain really wants to come out. So I'm going to share one more card, because this card literally jumped out twice, and I don't always have that happen. So clearly the brain health, omegas, eating nutritional foods, staying away from the dyes, because if you're neurodivergent, there has been studies show that dyes and things are not good for the brain. The brain also is our warrior for full chakra alignment. This is really interesting that it's once again got a very aligning sense. When all of our chakras are aligned and our functions are functioning, our brain can be happy and our crown chakra can be wonderful, right? It can be really empowered. But when that's all disorganized, you start to get your anxieties, your frustrations. Myself going through dysautonomia, it's like the body is just like, whoa, doesn't know what to do with itself, and can't really do these natural responses on its own. So I know I said I was going to do 3 cards, but the fact that that card came out 2 times while I was shuffling it back just feels like a moment. So brain, let's treat our brains wonderfully. Nutrition, meditation, rest, recuperation, mind power, thoughtfulness, and just full on brain health and inspiration. So if you're here, put a comment and I can do a card for you. If you're here right now, this card might just be for you because it came out twice. So I'm thinking this is for somebody specifically who's still watching. Once again, if you want to have a card pull, let me know in the comments below. So for the brain, we have an additional information of each of the 2 hemispheres of the brain contains its own world. The left hemisphere is devoted to reason and logical thinking, while the right hemisphere is colored by feelings and intuitions. Together, they create a new universe in every moment and safeguard our relationships with the outside world. One of mankind's greatest achievements is our development of I, which allows us the ease and self-confidence to evaluate things, sometimes with a wink. Pay attention to emotional impulses on your decisions. Test your perceptions against what is important in life and whether they bring joy. And trust the unconscious impulses of your feelings. Let them guide you from within. Healing crystals to use with this organ are diamond and tanzanite. So there you guys have it. I will be wrapping up this live. I usually never go live on a Wednesday. I try to typically go live on Mondays. So I'm going to be naming this live more of the health update, And especially with dysautonomia energies and my chronic Lyme healing story as well, because I am going to be working with a naturopathic functional medicine doctor who has a more holistic healing approach for lifestyle and longevity. Um, so I think that's going to be a really helpful, beautiful thing in my journey. If you guys have followed through and stuck with me this long, I really appreciate you. And I will be back. I'm going to try to be on this channel more. Something just called to me today and just inspired me to come on here and speak to you guys about what I've been kind of going through, because I feel like it could help somebody who's going through a similar thing. So never stop advocating for yourself, beating that drum of answers, and fight, 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 in a positive way for yourself. And just remember that, to speak up and don't be shaky. It's even like the cards that we had last week where, keep speaking up for yourself, keep advocating, have the courage to bring things up that are right within you and maybe other people don't think is right, because that also came up, was courage. The card of courage, the elephant medicine, the elephant energy, standing your ground, even if you feel like everything's shaking around you. So I really appreciate you guys. We'll get into health and body healing cards. If you ever want a reading or just a one-on-one body healing consultation to kind of focus on things that are specifically going on with you, where healing could take place, what kind of things to look out for in a duration of time, if you're having some confusion on testing and things like that, I think this is really helpful. Like I said, I just did a quick 3 spread with the collective energies to be focused on. But I think that we all do have to focus on drinking more water, hydrating, and plumping up our blood vessels and our veins and things like that. It's a beautiful day here, so I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to try to take everybody around a little bit more. And if you guys are still here, once again, I really appreciate all the love and support. Please like, subscribe to this channel. I've been a channel YouTuber since 2007. I can't believe it. I started off singing, doing things like that. But as life has progressed, I've kind of gotten into my intuitive and metaphysical, spiritual aspects of it, as well as bringing my love for health and fitness in the game, and just kind of talking to you about a real life journey that, this neurodivergent mama, goes through so many times. And I just want to be there for others that are going through similar experiences to myself, and who are just curious about it, while also being a total lover of astrology, spiritual baddie, and just having fun with it at the same time. So if you love astrology, if you love spirituality, if you love crystals, health and fitness stuff, and you may be a parent, please stay tuned to my channel. I really try to advocate and love for y'all. And just be there for everybody. So please do me a favor. Please please subscribe to my channel. I've been an OG YouTuber since 2007. Could really appreciate the love and assistance. But otherwise, I just have fun coming on here and seeing who wants to vibe out and see what the vibes are, All right. Well, I think I'm going to end it there. I don't know what this little button does. 49 seconds short. Oh, nice. Huh. Oh, a green screen? Done. So, get this green screen off. There we go. Wow, that's so fun. I always forget like all these little things that are going on, so that's interesting. And like I said, there was birthdays going on. It's not my birthday today. It was March 27th. Let's see. What is this? Chat filter. Top messages. Excuse me. Just swallowed my own spit. All right, guys. Well, I hope you have an amazing day. I'm trying to figure out, oh, there we go, how to end the live. But I'm learning other things, like starting a poll. I think I'm going to do that. And a Q&A. And then we'll get into it next time. So I'm going to learn some more. Like I said, I typically like to do things on a Monday. Probably in the afternoon time is best. Otherwise, we'll see what we can get into down the line. I wish you all a most beautiful day. Stay hydrated, stay wonderful, listen to your body. Rest is just as important as the hustle. And for real, I'm out. Have a great day. Much love.